This here is the current Bitcoin chart, and this here is the last Bitcoin dip. Today I'm going to show you the exact targets to the downside, as well as all the levels that need reclaiming, and here's how. Welcome back to the channel everyone, it is Louis Crypto, and you're probably wondering, how are you gaining those targets? We are using some of the world's best strategies, and in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly that. Please stay tuned, like, subscribe, comment and share, and enjoy today's video. This current Bitcoin dip is nothing to be afraid of. Every single Bitcoin dip so far within this bull market has actually eventually led to higher price targets. This suggests the current dip we're seeing so far will eventually lead to a bullish breakout. The question is, how long will this dip take? As mentioned before, this current dip looks a lot like the last back in December 2023. Back here in December, we actually created a low, and from that point, as long as support is found above, we will continue higher. In the immediate short term, we saw price gaining momentum before all the key moving averages were lost. This then suggested a move back down to the key support, and as long as $40,000 held, we would have continued higher. If the level of $40,000 is lost, there's chances of dipping down to the 200 EMA. In this example, we actually lost $40,000 but failed to reach the 200 EMA, which resulted in the uptrend staying intact. As a result, Bitcoin reclaimed $40,000 and all key moving averages before putting in a new high. As we are in a bull market, we shouldn't really expect anything too different in this current dip. Of course, if price stayed above 59k that was set in March, we would have continued up from here. But there does not need to be any panic whatsoever just because this 59k support has been lost. This is actually a positive thing, and later on in this video, I'm going to show you why the bigger the dip causes a bigger pump. My saying is, the bigger the dip, the bigger the rip. Now, comparing this current situation to the one back in December, we have now lost the low. But as a result of last time, we saw Bitcoin eventually continued bullish. The expectation is the same, but now we need to look at the Fibonacci's to gain an insight into those bearish targets. Please do remember though, once these targets to the downside are completed, we will put in a new all-time high. I now need to show you those future bullish targets for you to get a little bit excited. Please do understand that there's no time frame on these targets. You just need to sit there patiently and these targets will eventually get met. Let's now dive into the Fibonacci's. Without the Fibonacci's, I am totally lost. And the reason I'm willing to say this out loud is because these are naturally occurring levels that act like magnets. I'm going to bring you to an example right now. This here is a little video of the Fibonacci sequence. This little video is suggesting that things happen over and over and over again. I will now show you some examples of Fibonacci's in the real world. So that video showed us that things happen over and over and over again in an infinite amount of times. And this could be further explained by the universe because it's ever growing. Now this is another example of a Fibonacci sequence within plants, fruit and vegetables. We can see the same pattern over and over and over again. Now, how does this relate to trading? Well, guys, the Fibonacci sequence is telling you that things happen over and over and over again. And they've brought all this data into the trading industry and noticed that there are certain levels that occur over and over and over again, all naturally. This is why, without the Fibonacci's, I am lost. The Fibonacci levels are not arguable. These are naturally occurring levels, and certain targets will get fulfilled if certain levels are broken. Equally, to invalidate bearish targets, we need to reclaim certain levels. And as previously mentioned earlier in today's update, we are going to go through all of that today. So hopefully all that information brought some light to the Fibonacci's, and we cannot ignore these levels. There are certain paths that will get fulfilled. If we lose certain supports, we'll dive into that now. And we can see over here, the golden pocket is a key level of support. If you are following me on my Twitter with the links down below in the description, I actually predicted a path that was followed exactly all the way down to the 786. And the reason why I predicted this path down is as a result of a completed move up. So I need to see where are the most plausible retracement levels, and that is the golden pocket right over here. Now, there's a key thing to understand about the golden pocket, and it's if it is maintained, we actually continue higher. So a reversal from this point, if the bulls were there, we'd need to, of course, not only hold the golden pocket, but we need to push through the moving averages that were acting as resistance, as well as this 64.9k resistance that I've drawn. We will look into that in a bit as well. So the failure in reclaiming that key area right over there resulted in this move down from this location where we lost the 786. So we got the needed bounce. We met the target, we got the bounce, we just couldn't take advantage and break out of this key resistance. As a result, losing the 786 and retracing back down to the 1 fib level, which was initially held. But again, same scenario, we need to reclaim all the golden pocket levels and the moving average, as well as this blue line, 65k, let's call it. And then we would have gone up. But until those very moments, there's the risk of getting that rejection. And then, of course, losing the 1 fib level, targeting the first set of Fibonacci targets. And this is why I can never get caught off guard. And then you get those snide comments saying, well, you're always going to be right if you're always predicting both directions. But why would I just sit here and only predict one way? Well, you know what I mean? It's quite funny. So you always need to prepare both scenarios. So you just simply take what is being given to you and you will know the direction and the targets it will now lead on to. So equally, if we held these supports, especially that 59k low, we would have continued. But as I've been saying multiple times in the past updates, that even if we lose 59k, it just means that we're short term coming down, but eventually we will break $73,700, I believe the high is. It's just dependent on what exchange you're using. This is the Coinbase chart because the Bitcoin index chart has too much info on it. Now, what are the targets to the downside? In fact, we've met the first set of targets between the 1272 and the 1618. Remember, guys, these are naturally occurring levels that happen over again, and they are acting as magnets. And what do I mean by that? When all our key supports are lost, it's preparing us for further targets to the downside as support levels, which can give us strong enough bounces to reclaim the lost low of 59k and then reclaim the golden pocket moving averages and 65k to complete the dip, suggesting that we've just dipped our toe underneath this low and are looking for a reclaim to continue higher, similar to what I showed you previously in that other Bitcoin correction right down over here at the end of last year, where we lost the key low that I was saying, hold this and we'll go up. Eventually it was lost. We could not have enough strength. We didn't have enough strength to continue to the 200 EMA. And regardless, while we are above this, any correction is bullish. Going back to where we are right now, the current correction that is happening is all above the 200 EMA, and there are many targets before the 200 EMA which can give us those bounces. So the reason why we are so focused on Fibonacci's is because there's a certain path that it can take from here as a bullish path, but equally we can still continue bearish down to the 200 EMA, where I would expect the lowest point to be, because this is holding up the daily uptrend. So the question becomes, are we going to bottom out within this range, or will we continue to the 200 EMA? There's no solidified answer, but that's why I always prepare you. We need to see step by step what Bitcoin wants to do, and in turn dragging all the altcoins with it as well. And this is why in dips there's no point on watching the altcoins, because they're going to get hurt a lot more. And so if you just maintain the focus on Bitcoin and stay away from the portfolio, if you know, this is for your mental health essentially, it's going to protect you in that way. So what can happen from this location are two potential paths. If the bottom is in already, in this 1 fib level area in our first set of targets. This is where a potential bottom can take place. And to confirm that, to solidify that stance, we would need a reclaim of the 1 fib level, the golden pocket, and 65k. This is what I showed you in the first a minute of the video. This is the path that Bitcoin would need to take if you want to consider this first fib area of targets as the bottom. This can, of course, be just one path that can happen. So prepared there, ready for you. If you see 59k held back as support, then this is the path it would need to follow. But please do understand that we could get above the 1 fib level and still get rejected at these points, or here, or even just at the 1 fib level to continue lower. That is always the case. So this is why you need to learn the Fibonacci path. If you want to do that one-on-one with me, consider taking action on the one-to-one mentorship, the ebook, or my group community where we do live streams in there, as we did last night for about an hour, just giving all the insights on the charts, as well as my personal strategies and the cryptos that I'm holding. Links down below. So if we actually fail to flip it back into support, we'll see it flipped into resistance with chances of continuing lower as the 1618, the final 1 fib level target, has yet to be met. You could even just come down one more level and then go on that potential path. So all I'm trying to get at, guys, is that this area over here, there is chances that this could be the bottom. And from here, we need to do certain things, which is reclaiming the 1 fib, the golden pocket, the moving averages, and 65k. If we can do all of that, we can be super confident that is the correction done. But until that very moment where we're back above the blue box, there's always the risk of coming up to continue lower, another lower high, essentially, like what we saw over here with this high and then a lower high. We've then continued lower. That could still be the case to get us down to that 200 EMA and reset the uptrend. This is your next set of targets between these 2 points, and we see that the 200 EMA is within it. I really do like that, because as I've shown you previously in the last dip, we failed to even get close to the 200 EMA, although all key levels were lost, being the moving averages, the Fibonacci's, as well as this key low, the bottom of our range. We went below, but swiftly reclaimed it, even though the path was expected to continue down to the 200 EMA. So that is why people have the belief right now we will go down to 52k. But I'm telling you right now, it's not. It doesn't have to be the case. It's not a guarantee, and this is why you must learn the Fibonacci path, because although everyone has their eyes set on this, everyone's waiting for this to happen, and technically it should, as we've lost all the key supports being the range low, the 1 fib, and all the golden pockets and all the moving averages. Everything's pointing at the 200 EMA, but the last correction suggests you can avoid it. And the only way I see plausible to avoid the 200 EMA now, to avoid altcoins going lower, to avoid Bitcoin going to 52, 53k, is if we use this area between 55 and 57.5k as support, which is the first Fibonacci targeted area. We must use this as a pivot point to reclaim the moving averages up here, the golden pocket, the moving averages, as well as 65k, to then go on a bullish case. Now, a few minutes ago, I did say I need to get you excited. So I've now shown you all the potential bottom targets, whether it's between 55 and 57.5, or whether we do go down as low as 52 to 53k. We eventually expect a reversal into the bullish direction, which I've previously shown in previous dips, which lead to a new all-time high. Now I'm going to show you some beautiful things that I've already shared over the past few weeks in the Discord, because no one has been caught off guard by this. Everyone in the Discord community has been prepared. The highest point was here. The lowest point after this was right there at 59.5k. This was already targeting a price point of $100,000 per Bitcoin. So this means that in the future, it's already confirmed, although there's no time stamp on it. There's no timing on it. Remember the Fibonacci's with all the examples I showed you today. This will happen. Certain levels need to hold for that to happen. I will show you the path right now. So we need to reclaim this blue area, the golden pocket, the 1 fib level. Once we are above this golden pocket, all of these targets, all of them will get met, as long as we maintain above this. So once this key area is support 66 to 70k, we're going to target 80 to 85k. And at this point, whether it's at 78 or at 84, we will expect a correction, whether we get to the first target and dip, or where we get to that target and then dip. We expect boring, exactly like what's happening right now in this area between 78 and 84k. And it's at that point we could dip all the way back down to the 0.5, but it doesn't have to. There are many supports above, like the 1272, the 786. But as long as this is maintained, as long as we create that higher low, we continue to the next set of targets. So that is something to get excited for, because before the last day or today where we've put in this new low, that target of 100k was it. But remember what I said earlier, the bigger the dip, the bigger the rip. Now we've put in a lower low and I move my fib to that new lower low. We've actually created a much higher price target of $107,000. And so this is the thing that I wanted to leave you guys off with today. Yes, we have some targets to the downside. The bottom could be in this area. It could go down a little bit lower to the 200 EMA, but eventually, guys, we will result in higher with targets above 100k already being confirmed. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Like, subscribe, comment and share. And yeah, if you want to jump into that community to find out all about all those experiences, and yeah, for me to help you change your mindset, psychology, from the brainwashing that we all get from all the top YouTubers and influencers, then consider joining the community or doing the one-on-one mentorship today. Links down below. Cheers.